Welcome everyone to another program with WorkPix 360 virtual tours and marketing here on the beautiful Central Coast and also serving the Hunter Valley and parts of the Sydney area. I'm here today with Mitchell Beattie from Mad Cat Marketing, and we're going to be talking today about the importance of understanding where is social media in marketing now and where is it going. So this is something that I know a lot of my clients are asking me about. Where should I actually be promoting myself? And I thought I'd actually ask Mitch, who I've known for some time now. We've actually met through a prior career that he had in marketing still. And I thought he'd be a great guy to be able to speak about marketing, especially in our area. So thanks for joining me, Mitch.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Okay, and so could you give us a little bit of a background as to how did you get into marketing?
So I went to uni and studied business and majored in marketing, which took me into the wine industry. So I was working in the wine for 8 years, doing marketing there, and then social media sort of come along and was getting bigger and bigger. So I decided that I needed a career change, and why not go out on my own and start up my own business, Mad Cat Marketing, and see what I could do there.
Fabulous. You know, most people who start a business, usually they say they get into it sort of a little bit through a transitionary period. They don't just kind of jump with both feet in. How did you go about doing it?
Yeah, I did have a bit of a transition. I sort of was working, by day in the wine industry and by night doing marketing for people, picking up a few clients. And then once I felt that I was secure enough, I moved across and went full time. So
right, fabulous. And you've been doing this for how long now, full time?
Almost 2 years now. So yeah, it's still sort of new, but it's going well. It's good.
Excellent. Good to hear. Obviously what we probably want to be focusing on today is one of your specialties, which is Facebook marketing. What can you tell me about what's so important about Facebook marketing today for businesses?
Well, Facebook just offers businesses a huge opportunity nowadays. People are so disconnected. We used to have television, radio. That's this major source of news that people would turn to, but everyone's sort of disconnected and no longer just rely on those platforms. So social's really important. And, Facebook has, I think it's 1.6 billion active users now. It offers so much opportunity for businesses and small businesses in particular.
That's interesting because, one of the things that's the foundation of the market areas that we tend to work in, obviously, is a lot of small businesses. And it's not to say that large businesses can't benefit from it, but it does seem to even the playing field, doesn't it?
Oh, it certainly does. Yeah, the costs that's involved in the advertising side of Facebook, $50 can get you some great results. So it's not expensive for small businesses to get involved.
Right. Yeah. Maybe we're going to want to touch a little bit on exactly that, because of course, that's one of the things that most people fear the most about getting into marketing on Facebook is at first they think it's completely free, and then they realize that only goes so far. And then there's, well, then how much does it cost and how much should I actually be spending to get a good result? What can you share about some of the basics that people should be thinking about when it comes to that?
Yeah, well, that's right. Facebook, started as a great platform for businesses to share content organically, and then they were getting great results. But, Facebook is a business, so they need to make money, and they make that through advertising. So business pages is where they get that advertising from. So, if a business gets on and just having a little play around with like I said, $50 is a great place to start. $5 a day on an ad for a week, see what results you're getting there is good.
Yeah, so maybe we could use somewhat of an example to help, maybe some kind of a possible scenario that a business could use to actually put one of these small campaigns, one of these little teaser campaigns into place. Maybe if we could use maybe one of your clients as an example. We don't actually necessarily have to say who they are, but at least give maybe something that you're familiar with.
Sure. a particular tour company that I do some work with, they get really great results from Facebook. Facebook's all about social, so people engaging with people, and it comes back to the content that you're sharing. You don't want to always be sell, sell, sell. You want to show people something unique, give them an experience, something that they haven't seen before, or perhaps they're learning from. So tour companies are great. We use images and video for that. It's showing people, the experience that they can have with their friends, how much fun they can have, what they can learn, what they can get involved with. So, just coming up with an ad like that, just a single ad for a start, is great. And like I said, you don't want to be salesy with your material. So just something simple like come and experience whatever. And then just in your advertising, you can put start with $5 for a day and set that up for a week. And the great thing with Facebook is you can change it as it's going. It's not like a newspaper ad where you spend your money and it's out there, it's done. Facebook, you can be monitoring and changing as it goes along to get the best results.
That's fascinating because, you're absolutely right that a lot of traditional marketing had certain challenges. And I still love one of my favorite quotes about the old days of marketing where, and I don't know who the executive was who said this, but that 50% of his budget for marketing was doing fabulously for him. The other 50% was doing horribly for him. But what he had a real problem with is he couldn't tell which one was which. And, it makes it really difficult to be able to say, well, if this isn't working, I got to try something different. And what you're suggesting here is that Facebook does give you that chance to say, if it's not working for you, try something else.
Yeah, that's right. With the digital marketing that's around nowadays, you can track everything. If you put in the right coding and the right tracking, well, you can see where that person comes from to your website, what they're doing on your website, what they're engaging with, and track the whole process. That way you actually know, yes, my money is working that I'm spending on Facebook, and these are the results I'm getting.
Does that have something to do with something I've heard about, which is called a Facebook pixel?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, the Facebook.
That's a really, really intriguing thing to me because I've learned a little tiny bit, but I'm just I'm a newbie when it comes to that. What can you tell people about what a Facebook pixel is? Because it sounds kind of like something that a photographer would be used to adjusting the color of, but I don't think that's what they mean.
No, that's right. Yeah. Facebook pixels, they just take your advertising to a whole new level. It really is so powerful what a Facebook pixel can do. So it's just a piece of code that Facebook gives you. So it's your own unique tracking code. And that then just gets put into the back end of your website. So what that then does is whenever someone from anywhere, if they're on Facebook and they come onto your website, Facebook tracks wherever they go, what they do. So if you've got a shopping cart, if they add something to your shopping cart, they add their details and then they drop off like so many people do. Well, Facebook tracks all of that. So then you can go into Facebook and set up a advertising campaign where you remarket to those people. So you're just targeting the people that have gotten to your shopping cart and added something in. And then you're showing them a specific ad saying, oh, did you forget something? Here's 10% off, whatever. And it's just going to those people.
Sounds very, very targeted. And I suppose that, in fact, and you bring up a very interesting point about how people behave now, because most people don't really want to be sold anything. And you touched on that earlier on about being able to tell the story and not be always too salesy. People prefer to buy. And with that in mind, this tells me that, and correct me if I'm wrong, if someone goes to a shopping cart, puts something in the cart, then essentially leaves the virtual store, but leaves everything in the cart, that tells you something about their shopping experience that didn't complete. It wasn't as thorough, or something was missing in the experience. And what can we learn about buying behavior in that way?
Yeah, well, that's right. So often people do drop off on shopping carts for countless reasons. Maybe, dinner was ready and they had to go and eat, or the kids come in and needed a shower. There's just so many reasons. It's not necessarily that you're doing something wrong or there was something wrong with your website, but Facebook lets you reconnect with those people. So they might have gone off and started cooking dinner and they really wanted to buy your product, but they just didn't have that time. So Facebook just sends them that little reminder and they go, oh, yes, I meant to buy that. Jump back in, done, and you get the sale.
Right. That's fabulous. That makes it obviously much easier for people to actually, as you said, it's remarketing. So it's actually taking a piece of marketing that you've already instilled and then be able to use that data that Facebook was kind enough, I guess you could say, to provide back to the seller so that they can give it another go and see whether or not there was still an opportunity to close that sale.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's so powerful what you can do with Facebook advertising now.
This brings me to another point in terms of really where things are going, because, you know, right now with social media, there's a whole lot of different kinds of businesses that benefit more from it, I would think, than others. Obviously, shopping carts, you're giving a really good example of someone who's got like an online shopping store. That obviously is one where that really fits well with this Facebook pixel that does this remarketing. Are there other examples of kinds of businesses that can benefit from this?
To me, I think that Facebook can benefit pretty much any sort of business. It really comes back to the content that you're providing. Yes, it's a social platform, so people love seeing visual things, so videos and photos. So if you're in food, restaurants, cafes, that sort of thing, people seeing your meals and having fun, engaging with your restaurant, you know, that's a great thing. People love seeing that social aspect. But, you know, services like you and I, it's still a great opportunity for our kind of businesses. You know, if we provide information to people that they didn't know about, well, that, you know, it's helping create brand awareness about you. And then people hopefully will want to go and learn more about you and then engage in your services.
It's interesting you bring up the word brand, because that's one of the things that you probably know I spend a fair amount of my time talking about, because of course in the world of photography, what I'm actually helping businesses do is create a better visual brand for themselves. And and going back to the earlier part of a conversation where you're suggesting that people create content, and photography and video are both very powerful tools for doing that. One of the things that I actually like to tell people is, like, there's times when you really do want to hire a pro to do the work, but there's times when you just can't get me there. You know, I'm not on the bus. I'm not on the tour bus on that day. What do people need to know in terms of how they can create that content in a way that actually is truly usable and easy to actually implement?
Yeah, well, that's right. You know, professional content is great, but people don't always want to see the perfect image. You know, seeing someone else's experience, it gives it that sort of, you know, reality to what you're offering. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I call that the authenticity and recency factors, because
yeah.
you know, to be authentic, very often you've got to be very recent, and that really doesn't mean that you're going to have the access to a production crew or a photographer on hand. If you do, great, but that's a slightly different situation. But
yeah.
And on the flip side, when should someone actually be bringing in a pro? What kind of content would you be recommending to your clients, saying, no, this is not something you want to just leave up to one of your staff to just pull out their mobile phone and take a quick video. This is really something that needs to have a proper crew and a proper team or a proper photographer on site to actually make sure that they capture that brand moment?
Sure. Well, it depends on your branding. So if you're a luxury brand and you're taking photos with your iPhone and there's terrible lighting and, you know, the table's messy or whatever, well, that reflects on your branding. So why would people pay that extra money for the products you're offering if they can see that the quality's not there? So those sorts of things are important. You know, if you're telling your story through video, I definitely recommend getting someone professional in to do that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, you know, it's one of the things that we also say an awful lot in the world of video and blogging, and I've actually suffered this recently. Did an interview with a a marketer out of the U.S., and I did it from my home non-NBN connection, and the sound quality was horrible, and I felt really bad about it. But and audio is a big part of that, right? I mean, there's really the sound quality of a video matters sometimes as much as the picture can when you're trying to get that message across to people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if people just don't see that the quality's there, well, then they're not going to buy your products or engage with your services.
Yeah, there's a balance to be had between being authentic. Like you and I are just, you're obviously sitting back on a sofa. I'm in a nice, cozy, big red chair over here. We're relaxed. It's not we're not trying to put on a big production here. And of course, that's part of what we're doing is creating that authenticity. And I think that's actually important for businesses to realize that they have the opportunity to do this on their own with basically the technology they probably have on their desk or often in their pocket. And this brings me to another point having to do with really some of the more important trends that are happening now, because of course technology has changed. It's not that long ago that we didn't have iPhones and Samsung phones or other brands of phones where, that you can actually just pull it out, do a quick YouTube or Facebook Live. But now that's actually the new hot thing, is that you can do these things. But I'm curious, what do you see being the future, or what are some of the next trends you're seeing in marketing now?
Well, video is just going to continue to grow and grow and grow. People just can't get enough of video. It's they're just consuming it ridiculous amounts. You've probably seen your news feed continuously changes when it comes to video. They now have the auto play and all of that kind of thing. So it's just going to continue to grow in that area. Virtual reality is another big hot topic at the moment. It's going to start coming in more and more, giving brands, businesses another tool to look at. And then, in the future, you've got robotics getting talked about a lot. AI is coming up. But a big one for Facebook, Messenger is a huge part of Facebook now. It actually has more people using Messenger than Facebook. So for businesses,
that's news to me. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's growing faster than Facebook now.
Wow. So is there a particular demographic where you're seeing that growth taking place right now?
No, Facebook's pretty broad. It's still your younger generations on there, but your 55 plus, they're adopting Facebook rapidly now. They're getting involved, which is sort of pushing, the younger generations towards other platforms. They're looking at Instagram and Snapchat to get away from their parents, that kind of thing. But yeah, Messenger, it's definitely something that businesses will have to use more and more. People engage with the businesses through Messenger rather than just email and phone all the time now.
Maybe you need, could you explain a little bit more? Because I'm actually have to say, I'm quite curious as to exactly how does that work, that Messenger, number one, is become so big, and in which ways are people actually using it in terms of marketing?
Sure. Well, for different websites, like an online store, you can now get plugins that are directly with Messenger. So rather than chatting via email, people can just talk to you via your Facebook page. And then, I don't know, you've probably noticed your big blue button on your Facebook page where it's important to have that one set up, because that's where people can contact you. Oftentimes, people will contact you directly on your page rather than picking up the phone or heading to your website. Because Facebook, they want you to live in Facebook world. They don't want you to leave Facebook. So
that's quite an interesting challenge, of course, because there's some people, of course, who think that they want to run away from Facebook. They think it's actually taking over their lives. But at the same time, it is actually providing a method for communication it's already there. We're already using it, which I can see, if I'm correct in understanding, because people are already on it. So they don't have to install a new plugin. They don't have to have a new feature or a new tool inside their website. It's just something that already exists.
Yeah, that's right. So it's just making things easier for people to get in contact with you.
Right.
Which,
Yeah.
which another thing that's coming around more and more for messengers, chatbots. So these are things that engage with customers on your behalf. So if people are on there asking specific questions, you can set up a chatbot so that it can answer those common questions and direct them to certain pages on your website. So that means you have someone working for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, engaging with your customers.
So this is a bit this is touching closer to AI in some ways, because it's actually having to do a bit of predictive reasoning in figuring out what exactly is the person asking, it like a very intelligent search result.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Wow.
It's only early days with them, so they're not fantastic just yet, but it's definitely going to be something that you'll see more and more.
Wow, that's interesting, and that's exactly when we're talking about new trends. If that's where things are going, I know that actually recently I've used the Messenger call feature and had conversations with people, and sound quality was really, really good. It's as good as what we've had with the worlds of Skype or Hangout. So quite impressive actually happening in their space. They're basically entering that same space and again, keeping everybody inside of Facebook.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so really going forward from that, so if we look at how Facebook is working, what other platforms are important for people to consider or to think about being on nowadays?
Well, I get asked that so much. And the thing is, the average person is on 5 different platforms. So it really comes back to sort of, what you're comfortable using. But the next biggest one after Facebook is Instagram. And then, you've got Twitter. It doesn't work so much for every business. It's, you've only got that 140 characters and it's a bit trickier. But yeah, I definitely recommend being number one, Facebook. Instagram is another great one if you have visual content. Snapchat is another big one that's growing really rapidly.
It's an interesting one because it's all about the fact that the content disappears, right? You watch it, and I can't remember how many times can someone watch the content. Is it only once?
I think you get another replay, but it disappears after that time.
Wow! So that talk about instant and recent. That makes it so that you don't get a second chance. It's either get it right or get out, right?
That's right.
Marketing, but it actually, and there's also a limit to how long a Snapchat can be, I believe, right?
Yes, yeah. I don't know how long off the top of my head, but yeah, it's only short bursts of content, which is, a lot of the platforms are heading towards just those shorter bursts of content. We all have this short attention span nowadays. Anything too long and we switch off and move on. So
it's interesting you say that because it falls well with also what Google's doing because of their push towards what they call micro moments. And they are very interested in making sure that they catch people in those micro moments, hence the reason for why the Google My Business and Google Places pages are so important for last minute shoppers who are looking for where can I find the closest flower shop, or where can I find a cafe that's nearby so I can meet up with someone. So they're looking and using that near me feature where you can say cafe near me and get results and be able to judge what they get. So that's actually a micro moment, but of a different kind. But they still actually are really social media of a type.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So as far as what you're actually doing now with your clients, what tends to be the kind of work that you do most of? What, like a day in the life of a social media marketer, what kind of work do you actually create or produce for your clients?
So I sort of you can come in at the sort of top level and just provide an educational experience, so help businesses with their strategy, telling them, what they're doing right, what they could do better, showing them how to use the platforms better, or moving down to that I can actually help them create the content and take over the whole experience for them. We just work together, we map out a plan and what their goals are, and then I, come up with the content, posting, engaging with their customers, create advertising campaigns.
It's interesting you mentioned that in terms of creating posts. I'm sure a lot of people probably will have asked you 100 times, or if not 1,000 or more times, is how often should I put up posts?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. If I had $1 for every time, I'd be on a yacht somewhere.
Yeah.
But to me, there isn't exactly a magic number. There's people out there that are having great success posting pretty much nearly every hour of the day, or just even once a week. To me, it comes back to consistency. So whatever you choose to do, just make sure it's consistent.
Right. That's actually a really great message, because I think that also helps with the recency of that content, because if you're consistent, it means it's going to be new content. You're not going to want to regurgitate the same ad over and over again. Eventually, it's got to change up. So and one of the things that people become very confused with then is, what do I say? How do I keep being creative? Have you got any ideas for people to create new content? Do you have some form of a method or a trick to that?
No, unfortunately, no. I don't have any solution for that one. I have my off days too. It's very hard, coming up with that fresh content over and over. But just having a big library of visuals that you can go back to is great help.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting with that too. When I interviewed David Meerman Scott a few weeks back, we were talking about the craziness of people using stock photography because they run out of ideas. And he has a series of posts called "Who the hell are these people anyway?" And it's all these pictures of people that, it's like women with salad, right?
Yeah.
Why do we see that so often? Or why is it that everybody that's in retirement always dressed in white? Like, it's just ridiculous images that we see. And to stay away from that, and again, creating a library of content that you're going to use in the future that you may or may not think you need today is probably a really good idea. And sometimes they don't have to be elaborate snippets. It could even be where it's the same image and it's been edited in a slightly different way, or the message that relates back to that image is different. But as long as it really belongs to you or your business or your product, as opposed to something you just went and bought online because it was a pretty picture. I mean, that I think is one of the basic things. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, people should be able to get a hold of you and find out more about what it is that you do. And so what are the best ways for people to get in touch with you?
So you can head to my website, madcatmarketing.com.au. And of course, you can catch me on Facebook, again, Mad Cat Marketing. But
no surprise there. You're not
that's right.
Yeah, that's right. And you're obviously you're in the Hunter Valley, but you in the beautiful New South Wales, we're the wine region. But you also work with people all over the place, do you?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's the beauty of working digitally. I can work anywhere. So yeah.
Sounds great. Well, I really do appreciate your time today. Thank you very much for being with me. And I also want to give a bit of a shout out to my friends over here at Organized Internet who are borrowing their studio. They've got this wonderful studio with a good connection so that we do actually have better audio quality. And Mitch, I think we're going to be running into each other pretty soon again. So looking forward to maybe having a chat, maybe face-to-face the next time.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sounds great. Thanks again for your time.
Thanks, Mark.
Bye for now.
Bye.